now invite Ms. Viola Kerekes, Project Coordinator at Hortobagy National Park Directorate, to deliver her presentation entitled Population Management of Przewalskis Horses in Hortobagy National Park. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Viola Kerekes, the project coordinator of the Hortobagy National Park Przewalskis Horses. And in this project, I will talk about this special reserve in the Hortobagy National Park. First, I would like to tell you a history of the last true wild horse, the Przewalski horse. And then I would like to talk about the Przewalski horses in Hortobagy, why they are here, what do they do here. And then I have to talk about how we manage this horse population. Or maybe many of you know that before the human being in the prehistoric time, the ancient large megafauna, the wild horse, the ancient aurochs, the wild asses, they were all the habitat of they all occupy this habitat of Eurasian steppe. There are bone findings, descriptions that prove this is true. On the picture, you can see a cave painting in Spain, so it's for sure that these horses were everywhere in Europe. But as the humans started to grow the number of the humans and the agriculture developed, these wild animals disappeared in Europe. First the wild horses, and then in the Middle Ages, the ancient aurochs as well. So the European people thought that the wild horse died out, they disappeared. And in 1991, there was a Polish soldier called Nikolai Przewalski, who went to the Chinese-Mongolian border and discovered a wild horse there among the wild asses. This was a really huge thing. Just imagine that there is a large mammal in the heart of Asia and the European didn't know it. So there were many expeditions after this discovery. They tried to catch horses and they succeeded, and 52 horses survived the transports, and they went to different European zoos and private institutions. And even some of them went to the USA and Australia as well. But from these 52 horses, only 12 reproduced. So all the today living horses are the descendant of these 12 horses. And unfortunately, they are able to reproduce with the domestic horses and with the development of genetic methods. It turned out that in the current population, there are 2 or 3 domestic horses as well. So after they caught the horses and brought into the zoos, first they didn't do anything, they just breed their own population. And then it turned out that the inbreeding started to affect the horses and they didn't have foals. So people in the world, they came together and they decided that they have to set up a stud book, which happened in 1959 in Prague, and they are still writing this stud book. And this means that each of the horses has the whole genetic, or not genetic, but pedigree background till the beginning. So every registered horses, we know all the ancestors till these 12 ancient horses. In the meantime, Przewalski horses disappeared in Mongolia. They died out in the wild in 1969. And, but in the zoos, they survived. And due to the lot of effort of different people, biologists, zoo people, private people, these horses reproduced very well in the zoos. And they even went to so-called semi-reserve, which are small areas surrounded. And in the end, there were so many horses that reintroduction projects started, first in China and then in 1992 in Mongolia. In the meantime, because of the drought and the climate change, unfortunately, certain places where Przewalski horses was found originally were not good for them any longer. So, for example, in China, the area is so dry that they are still in in kind of breeding centers. They cannot let them go free. But in Mongolia, there are 3 places where the Przewalski horses live now. In 2 places, they are totally free, no fences. Like in Hustainuru, there are approximately 400 horses now, and Takintal, which is the GoBB. And there is a 3rd place, Komintal. Here it is still surrounded because the nomads are around, and why they can reproduce with domestic horses. It is very important if we want to transport Przewalski horses somewhere and reintroduce to their original habitat, the domestic horses should be disappeared from the land where they should go. And why they are in Hortobagy? So the original habitat of the Przewalski horses, we think it was from Mongolia even to Russia, but not in Hungary. But we know that the ancient wild horse was here in Hungary as well. And in 1997, the national park wanted to have such a reserve, an area where human intervention is minimal. How we can maintain a grassland without grass cutting or burning or without domestic animals. We can do it to introduce wild animals. So the only wild horse was the Przewalski horse, so we decided to bring them here. And there was a cattle breed, a very strong cattle breed with so-called reconstructed aurochs that we also brought here. This was a cooperation between the Hortobagy National Park and the Cologne Zoo. And it started in 1997. Why we thought that the Hortobagy region can be good for Przewalski horses? Here you can see a habitat map of the reserve. It's 3,000 hectares and surrounded by electric fence, but as you can see, most of it grassland and wetland. So this means that they have food and water enough for feeding the whole year round. And the electric fence can be crossed by smaller mammals, but not by the Przewalski horses or the cattle. The beginning was, of course, very tough. In 1997, the reintroduction projects only started. So we had to transport our horses from different zoos. And of course, in a zoo, the horses cannot be so strong than in the wild. So 1/4 of our transported horses died within the year when they arrived. It was partly because the horses didn't know each other and the stallion fought very seriously. And then, of course, the stress of the transport. And of course, there were some times that they were not able to adapt. The social structure of the horses consists of harem groups and bachelor groups. The harem groups are the harem stallion, the females, and the foals. The foals, when they're getting older, at the age of 2 or 3, they always leave the natal group. This way they avoid inbreeding. And the females join to another harem, the males join to the bachelor group. The bachelor group is loose, like young males. They are together, they are playing, they are preparing for life, and they spend here 2-3 years till they are old enough to have an own harem. The harem groups, they are more stable. Sometimes even for years, the females are together with the stallion. While this is still an endangered species, only 2,000 individuals are living in the world, we have to report the population changes both national and international level. This means that we have to individually recognize horses. We cannot mark them individually because they are wild animals. If we want to do anything with them, we have to tranquilize them, which is kind of dangerous for both the human and the horses as well. How we can recognize them? There are 3 pillars. With the help, we are able to do that. So first we identify the harem group. There is always a characteristic individual, or the size of the harem, or the ratio of lighter and darker horses. With the help, we can recognize the group. And then we identify the horse with smaller marks, like whether it has stripes on the legs, or whether it has some injury, whether it has shoulder cross. But the most important pillar is the DNA database. When the foals are 1 year old and still next to the mother, we take a so-called biopsy sample with the gun. We doesn't have to go there and touch them. it's a dart that fell out from the horse, and the small tissue sample goes to the veterinary laboratory Davis to California. There, all our individuals has this DNA database. In this way, not just we know who is the mother and the father for sure, but we will have a fingerprint, a DNA fingerprint database. And with the help of this database, we can recognize individuals. For example, if they go to the bachelor group and we cannot recognize them any longer, then we can take a repeated sample, and then Davis can tell us who the animal is. As the number was growing, the number of harem groups started to grow as well, but the average harem size was roughly the same. It's interesting that in Mongolia and other places, it is roughly the same. So everywhere, the average harem number is about 10. And in Hungary, they started to create a large herd, and they are moving like plain zebras in Africa. We don't know why they do it, because in Mongolia, they have home ranges. We think that it is because of they can do it because they have enough pasture, they have enough water, and in Mongolia, they have only little water pools where they can drink of. But we are currently searching the reasons behind why they behave like this. I told you previously that, or if I not now, I tell that we doesn't have large predator in Hungary that would be dangerous for the Przewalski horse. And that's why we have to kind of manage the population. What happens, I just want to show you 4 examples. What happens if we have large grazers and we doesn't have enough predators? For example, as I said, in Mongolia, in a Gobi Bay, there are Przewalski horses. There are wolves, but very probably not enough to control the population. And because of this reason, when there is a very severe winter, there is a large number of horses who die. For example, in 2010, the 68% of the horses died because of the severe winter. Another example is the USA. Everybody knows there are these feral horses, the Mustangs. Once they were domestic horses, and now they are wild, but we call them feral horses. In the old times, they can be hunted and caught and used, but now they are protected species. Now they have 80,000 horses. They have an everyday conflict with agricultural farmers and domestic animals, and they are destroying the landscape. The third example is Spain. There are Galician wild ponies. For thousands of years, they are there, and there is a traditional management. They catch them every year and take the surplus individuals, use them, harvest them, use the skin, the meat, and they have these 2,000, 1,000 animals that doesn't disturb the vegetation. And there is the fourth example is in the Netherlands, Oswaldesplatsen. There are konik, which is a kind of a feral horse as well, deer and cattle. There is no predator there. They didn't manage them. They just put them there to graze there, to be good for the birds. And in 2018, when there was a very severe spring, 30% of their animals died, 2,000 individuals. So I think, and I hope you agree with me, that the human responsibility cannot be excluded. So if we are having this pressure on the predators, that there cannot be enough predators on the population, we have to intervene. We cannot avoid that, otherwise the animals will suffer. How we manage our population? We doesn't have, as I said, a predator, so we have to step up kind of as a predator. To reduce the population, we use 4 methods. Culling is something that we doesn't like very much. We love our horses, but sometimes when we find an injured animal or someone with a genetic disorder, we have to cull it. A professional hunter does it, and we have to ask individual permission for each individual. We have a coordinator. The Przewalski Horses has a European coordinator currently in Prague Zoo, and we have a species committee. They are the ones who decide when and what to do with the horses. So if it's a culling or a transport, it is always the committee who decide. We are not alone, luckily. Another thing, increase the export. This is what we like to do the best, because the horses can go to new places. Here in Hortobagy, it's a bit crowded for them, and they can have a new life. But zoos are full, so whenever we have possibility, we transport horses to different areas, and that we support very much. Another thing is to reduce the falling with contraception. This is, again, something artificial, but we have to do this. The good thing is that this is based on immune response and not hormone-based, and that's why, and also it is not eternal, so that's why after 4 years of not falling, then they can give birth again. And decreasing imports can be the other step. This is what we can't do. Because it is a closed population, time to time we have to bring fresh bloodline, otherwise the inbreeding will increase. So here you can see the population, how it changed during these 22 years. As you can see, horses felt very good here. The number increased really quickly. Because of this very quick increase, we decided in 2013 to apply this immunocontraception treatment. And the big, so this increase is caused by the large number of newborns and the very small number of deaths. It was because the area was very good for them. And you can see that in 2018 there was a big loss. It was the same very severe winter than in Oswaldesplatz, and we had a very cold winter, very cold spring. And also previously, in the previous years, we had drought, and the vegetation couldn't renew, and also we had many animals on the field, and that's why we had almost 100 horses that died on that very year. We would like to avoid that, and that's why we decided that whatever happens, we have to take out as many horses as much as born, whether it is an export or a culling or a contraception. Here it's just a little slide of the PZP, how it looks like. Again, this is wild animal, we don't touch them. So from far, from 20, 40 meters, we shoot it with a gun, with a carbon dioxide gun, and then this needle fell out, and the material just goes in the horses. We have to shoot them 3 times, the same horses, which is sometimes difficult with, in the field, and that's why we cannot, so this is an effective method, but it's not very punctual, I should say. Here you can see that the not treated horses has much larger falling rate than a non-treated one, than a treated one, so it seems to be a good method. What was very interesting, we are just collecting all the data from the last years and try to analyze them. With this we can help other Przewalski horse keepers. And what was interesting then, when the pasture was bad and the density was very high, you can see here are the non-treated, the falling rate of the non-treated females. And you can see that when the environmental conditions were bad, the non-treated female, the falling rate of the non-treated female was also decreased. So this is kind of a natural break. And also there was another phenomenon that the first birth giving was later than previously. So I mean that previously it was 3 years old when the females first give birth, and then it was 4. I already talked about the genetic parameters of the population. It's very important to measure them, and with this pedigree, the full pedigree analysis, we can do that on population level. So you can see that the inbreeding coefficient is slightly increasing. As I told you, this is a closed population. We need to have new individuals time to time. We cannot avoid this. The other, you should see the purple line. It's a very good thing that the gene diversity is in a very high level. Gene diversity means that how many animals contribute to the gene pool of the whole population. So if the gene diversity is high, this means that many horses reproduced. If the gene diversity is low, it means that only a few horses reproduce. Our aim, that many horses should reproduce. So with the immunocontraception, for example, when we contracept individuals, we chose those who already has many foals. In this way, those who have less can give their part to the gene pool. Also, because of this nettle dispersal and the dynamic change of the harem stallion, they avoid the inbreeding, and many horses will have a chance to breed. This is totally natural, and they just do it for themselves. It doesn't have to involve. So the future plans, in summarizing what we would like to do in the future, we would like to keep our horses with the different treatments or methods under 300. We have to keep on analyzing genetic parameters on the population level. We also would like to involve much more monitoring work, because we think that this kind of management is very good for not just the horses, but for the vegetation and different taxa, and we would like to prove it. And of course, we support the scientific studies. So, and in the end, I would like to show you how we transport horses. Just a few slides, and then I will give the word to András Sós. So first, the coordinator tells us which horses, based on genetic background, which horses goes to the new place. For example, here we're choosing the horses to Orenburg. So we go out to the reserve, to the 3,000 hectare, and from the 300 horses, we try to choose that 15 horses that should go on. This is very difficult. After the shot, we catch the horse, put it to the ground, and take the blood, put the chip in, freeze brand them, and then, still while it is still sleeping, bring it to the transporter. In a transporter, our veterinary wakes it up and quickly run out of this transporter. And then they have to spend 1 month in the quarantine, and before the transportation, the whole thing starts from the beginning. Narcotize the horse, catch it, and put it to the box. This box is specially designed by the Prague Zoo for air transport. So if the horses are transported by airplane, it's very important that they shouldn't move around too much, they shouldn't lay down, they have to stand, otherwise they would die easily. And the box, we cannot bring the horse, we have to push the horse inside the box after sometimes it's very challenging. Yeah, you see how many people is needed for pushing one little, and this is only a 2-year-old female. Very strong animals. And after we just put the boxes to the transporter, everybody is working, me as well, even if I have a little baby. And then the transporter goes to the flight. And then within 12 hours, because of the flight, the quick flight, within 12 hours, the horses could be released in the Orenburg Reserve, which was very fast. And you can see none of them had any problem. They all survived the transport. So that's all what I wanted to tell you. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much.